I wasn't expecting to see anyone in the computer lab this late. All the lessons had ended, and the rest of the students had long since gone home. Yet, in the farthest corner, looking utterly miserable, sat Selena. I didn't have the nerve to talk to her. Instead, I switched on a PC and got to work. Before I could leave tonight, I had to finish preparing the school newsletter for print. Other students got the more glamorous roles: photographers, reporters, while our editor decided which stories and images made the cut. As for me, I was the one who arranged everything on the page, correcting spelling mistakes, tweaking layouts, and touching up photos. No one ever credited me. The pages were filled with photographs by, and reported by, but never a mention of the person who actually put it all together. Still, I enjoyed the work. Seeing the final print always gave me a sense of satisfaction. This week's big story was about the mayor presenting our soccer team with the regional champions trophy. I was focused on fixing the red eye in the mayor's photo when I suddenly felt a presence behind me. Selena was watching over my shoulder. "No way can that asshole be on the front page. You've got to erase him," she snapped, her voice sharp with anger. I blinked at the screen. Of course, right there, accepting the trophy, stood Henry, the team captain and, until recently, Selena's longtime boyfriend. "Why are you so mad at Henry?" I asked. "He's no friend of mine, but I thought you two were close." "Not anymore," she spat. "Not after what he called me. Not after he told the whole school I'm a slut. Not since he started screwing that tramp Heather. Haven't you heard anything?" I swallowed. "I'm sorry, Selena. I don't really hear much gossip. I don't talk to a lot of people, but I can't just delete the picture. Only the editor is allowed to change the content of the newsletter." Selena turned to me then, her expression shifting. A slow, knowing smile crept onto her lips as she reached out and lightly touched my face. My heart stammered. She was one of the prettiest and most effortlessly cool girls in school. Her skirt, always skirting the edge of the dress code, brushed against my hand as she leaned in. A warm flush crept up my neck, and I suddenly felt hot under my collar. She had me wrapped around her little finger, and she knew it. "You could do it for me, couldn't you?" she whispered. I tried to steady myself, to keep my voice calm. It wouldn't help. If I deleted it, I'd just get kicked off the team, and someone else would put it back in. Selena's eyes flickered with something dangerous. "Then let me edit the story. Let me tell the whole school what a disgusting pig their star player really is." "That wouldn't get past the editor's check tomorrow morning," I said, struggling to stay rational. "I can correct typos, but that's about it." She tilted her head. "But I saw you adjusting that picture. Can't you do something?" I sighed, promising to think about it, even though I knew there wasn't much I could do. Selena turned away, staring out of the window, lost in thought. I kept working, trying to focus, but my mind kept drifting back to her. If only I could make her happy. If only I could do something that would make her look at me the way she used to look at Henry. Then an idea struck. Quietly, I pulled out my phone and took a picture of Selena as she gazed out into the night. I transferred it to the computer and adjusted the image on the screen. "Selena, come look at this," I called. She turned, walking over to see what I had done. The screen displayed a photograph of her, illuminated softly by the glow of the lab's overhead lights. "What are you doing? I never said you could take my picture." I ignored her protest, circling a few points on the image. "Look at this," I said, my voice low. "Tell me what you see. Are you a child? Don't you know what a bra is? Every girl wears one, you know. You really need to get out more if you don't." "Okay, slow down. Of course, I know what a bra is, and more importantly, that only a girl should wear one." Selena gave me a blank stare of disbelief. I let the silence hang for a second before continuing. "Now, imagine this: what if I blended the shape of your bra onto Henry's back?" Her eyes widened. "You can do that. You can make Henry wear a bra." I smirked. "I can. And I can do it so subtly that the picture will still pass through the final checks. It'll be just faint enough that someone is bound to notice." I paused for effect, watching her excitement build. "But I'll need your help. You'll have to put on Henry's soccer shirts so I can match the colors exactly. If the tones don't match, it'll look fake. Her expression turned mischievous. So, if I let you do that, you'll make it work. If you're willing, I'll go fetch the shirt from the changing rooms. That was all she needed to hear. Before I'd even processed what was happening, she leaned in and pressed a kiss to my lips. My brain short-circuited. I must have looked completely dazed, glassy-eyed, mouth slightly open, a total fool in the moment. "Let's do it," she purred. Please, pretty please with lots of kisses." I didn't need much convincing. In no time, I had sprinted to the boys' changing room and rummaged through the laundry bin until I found Henry's jersey. Back in the computer lab, I locked the door, and Selena wasted no time stripping off her blouse and slipping into the sweaty shirt. It drowned her, hanging loose like a dress longer than her skirt, even. "Okay, now turn sideways and hold out your hands like you're receiving the trophy, just like in the picture." I snapped a few shots on my phone and loaded them onto the computer. But after a few minutes of editing, I sighed. "It's not going to work, Selena. The shirt's too loose on you. The bra straps aren't visible through the fabric." She tilted her head, studying me. Then her lips curled into a wicked grin. "Then you'll have to wear it," she said. "You're a little bigger than Henry, so his shirt will fit snugly on you." "But I'm not wearing a bra, Selena," I protested, though the words came out more defensive than I intended. "Remember, only girls wear bras." She just rolled her eyes at my tone. "I'll be back in a few minutes. Wait for me?" I nodded. I still have at least an hour of work left, so I figured it wouldn't hurt. With Selena gone, I managed to focus and finish laying out the pages. Now, all that remained was doctoring the front page image. Right on cue, she reappeared, flashing a dazzling smile. "I have something for you," she announced, holding up a white bra. I blinked. "Where'd you get that?" She twirled it around her finger, looking thoroughly amused. "Lost and found in the girls' gym. Couldn't let you use mine, you'd stretch it. This one must have belonged to an older girl. Should fit you just fine." I stared at the bra, hesitant, but Selena was relentless. And, well, resistance was futile. Snap, snap, she took the necessary photos of my back. "I need to put Henry's shirt back before the cleaners come," I told her, already moving to gather it up. "You should return the bra too." "No need," she said with a smirk. "You keep it. It looks cute on you." I swallowed hard, hoping, praying she was joking. "Just unfasten it, please," I muttered, feeling my face burn. She leaned in, eyes gleaming with amusement, but I had my own idea. Peeling off Henry's number 9 jersey, I left the bra inside it, bundled together. "I'm putting these in the laundry bin together," I told her. Without waiting for a response, I slipped out of the lab, tossed the shirt and the bra back where they belonged, and returned to complete the newsletter. 20 minutes of careful work in Photoshop, and the job was complete. The final image showed soccer captain Henry Bishop proudly accepting the regional trophy from the mayor. But if you knew what to look for, there was something else subtle, nearly imperceptible, yet undeniably present. Beneath his jersey, faintly outlined against the fabric, were the delicate straps of a bra. Selena scrutinized the picture, tilting her head. "After all that effort, it hardly looks any different," she complained. "I can see the straps, but only because I'm looking for them." "That's the point," I explained. "If we make them any more obvious, no one will believe it's real. It wouldn't even make it past the editor's review." Selena considered this for a moment, then smirked. "Let's see what happens. If necessary, I can just drop a little comment to another girl, mention how those creases in his shirt kinda look like bra straps. That's all it'll take. The rumors will spread on their own." Satisfied with our work, she let me walk her home. I basked in the small victory until, just as we reached her street, she threw out a casual suggestion that soured my mood. "We probably shouldn't be seen together for a while, you know, in case anyone suspects us." And just like that, I was alone again. The newsletter went to print the next day. No one, not the editor, not the teachers, not even the nosy kids who always had something to say, noticed anything amiss. By Thursday, every student in the school would have a copy. Selena kept her distance. I tried to ignore how frustrating it was. By Thursday morning, I had almost forgotten about the whole thing. That is, until I heard the unmistakable sounds of a fight breaking out during first break. Henry Bishop was throwing punches at some poor younger kid. A crowd had gathered, and amidst the chaos, the jeering of the girls made everything clear. Watch out for his tits. Show us your bra. Pull his shirt off. Henry barely seemed to hear them. He just kept pounding on the unfortunate boy, but when he finally did stop, his rage shifted. Panting, furious, he yanked his own shirt open. Look, he roared, I'm not wearing a bra. I have never worn a bra. And anyone who says I have will get the same as his cheeky little twerp. He motioned to the crumpled, groaning kid at his feet. Then, turning to the girls, his voice dropped into something darker. And that includes you lot. The laughter died instantly. A few of the girls took a step back. Henry was livid, his face red, fists still clenched from the fight. But it didn't matter. The damage was already done. No matter how much he shouted, no matter how many times he denied it, the photo was out there. Every student had a copy of the newsletter. If you looked closely enough, the faint straps were there. The whispers had begun, and the more Henry raged, the more people believed. When asked, I played dumb. I don't see anything in the picture, I shrugged. Probably just a trick of the light, or someone reading too much into it. Selina, of course, had other ideas. She gleefully fanned the flames, dropping casual claims that, back when they were dating, Henry had asked to borrow her clothes more than once. His reputation was crumbling fast. The only thing keeping him from total humiliation was Heather, his new girlfriend, who fiercely defended him. Henry is completely normal, she insisted. He's never worn girls' clothes. This is just stupid gossip. And maybe that would have been the end of it. Maybe with time, the rumor would have faded. But then Saturday came. The soccer team had another match that weekend. As usual, the coach arrived with the uniforms freshly washed, ironed, neatly folded inside plastic bags. Each player got their assigned number. And then it happened. When Henry was handed the number 9 jersey, everyone saw it. Packed inside the plastic bag, neatly folded along with his shirt, was a crisp, white bra. The locker room fell into absolute silence. We had all heard the rumors, but this was undeniable proof. Terry was the first to break the silence. That's it. I'm not playing with that fairy. We need a new captain. I hadn't intended for things to go this far, but there was nothing I could do now without exposing myself and Selina. Henry, still clutching the bag, was shaking his head furiously. I didn't put that there. I don't know how it got mixed up with my shirt. His eyes darted to me. I kept my expression neutral. Wait a minute, I said, stepping forward. Henry is still our best player. We wouldn't have won last week without his 2 goals. That's right, Vicky chimed in, arms crossed. He played his best game ever last week. A slow smirk spread across his face. Does wearing a bra help you play better, Henry? Laughter rippled through the locker room. Henry's face darkened. I never woe. His voice cracked with frustration. I don't know how it got there, and the photo it's fake, and Selina is lying. But the truth didn't matter anymore. The rumors had taken root, and by the end of that day, Henry Bishop was no longer the school's golden boy. Once again, it was Vicky who spoke first. I wear a lucky bracelet from my girlfriend during every match. If wearing Heather's bra makes Henry play better, then that's what he should do. No way, Henry exploded. I don't wear bras. This is all a setup. I'm not a— He never got to finish. A fist landed hard against his face, cutting off his protests. You either try your best for the team, and that means you wear your pretty little bra, or we pummel you right now. I watched completely enthralled as Henry hesitated, his hands trembling over the plastic bag. His breathing was ragged, his face pale with horror. But the choice was clear: wear the bra or take a beating. His fingers shook as he pulled it out. The room was silent, save for the rustling of fabric as Henry, looking utterly broken, slipped his arms through the straps. He fumbled helplessly, trying to fasten it behind his back, his fingers clumsy with fear and humiliation. I couldn't watch anymore. Moving on instinct, I stepped forward and clasped the hooks for him. His shoulders stiffened under my touch. When the bra snapped into place, he turned to look at me, wide-eyed, his expression a mirror of my own just days ago, when I had worn that very same garment. If he had known that I was the last person to wear that bra, that I was the one who had secured it onto him, I doubt he would have whispered, "Thanks." With a clean, dry jersey pulled over it, the bra wasn't obvious. I reassured him that no one would notice and turned to the team. "For the good of the team," I said, "this stays between us." The others murmured in agreement. Henry, numb and silent, simply nodded. None of us were prepared for the crowd waiting outside. Normally, we only had a handful of family members at our matches, but today, 30 classmates lined the field, cheering wildly as we jogged onto the grass. With a roaring home crowd behind us, we played an incredible game, completely outclassing the opposition in a 4-0 victory. Henry scored twice, proving once again that he was our star player. I held my own in defense. The coach was beyond thrilled. "That was one of the best performances I've seen from this team," he praised. "And the turnout unbelievable. It's like the whole school suddenly cares about soccer." Henry, still rattled, asked hesitantly, "Hey, coach, any idea why so many people showed up today?" The coach chuckled. "I'd say it's got something to do with our big win last week. Ever since we took home that trophy and made it into the school newsletter, people have been paying attention. In fact, quite a few pretty young things have been asking me about the team." He clapped Henry on the shoulder. "And I have to say, they were particularly interested in whether you would be playing." Henry blanched. His newfound popularity was not the kind he wanted. But the nightmare wasn't over yet. The moment we stepped out of the locker room, Heather was waiting. "Slep." The sound echoed across the hallway louder than anything I'd ever heard. Heather's expression was ice-cold as she met Henry's stunned, teary-eyed gaze. "How dare you make a liar out of me," she hissed. "I supported you. I defended you. And you made me look like a fool." She leaned in close. "Don't ever come near me again." Henry stood there, silent, broken. I could see the tears welling in his eyes. And then Selena appeared. I braced myself for the final blow. Surely, she was here to finish him off, to twist the knife in even deeper, maybe even to gloat. But no. Instead, she wrapped her arms around him. She smiled at him. She kissed him. I felt my stomach drop through the floor. 5 days ago, she wanted nothing more than to destroy Henry Bishop. Now, she was comforting him, kissing him, after everything we had done. I stood there, frozen, as realization clawed its way through me. I had done this for her. I had risked everything, humiliated Henry, manipulated an entire school for her. And now she was back in his arms. I deserved better than this. By Monday, new photos were circulating around school, not just from the match, but from the moment Henry had slipped. One picture in particular captured it all. Henry, mid-stride, reaching up to adjust his bra strap, the white lace unmistakably visible beneath his soccer jersey. There was no denying it anymore. Henry Bishop, soccer captain, star player, school legend, had played the match wearing a bra. Miss Taft had seen the photos too. "Henry Bishop," she called, her voice sharp and clear. "Please come to the front of the class." Henry stood slowly, his movements stiff, as if dragging himself to his execution. When he reached the front, Miss Taft turned to him with an expression of calm authority. "Is this a picture of you playing for the school team last Saturday?" She held up the image of him mid-game, his fingers grasping at the delicate strap on his shoulder. Henry swallowed hard but said nothing. "No need to answer," she continued. "I can see that it's you. But what I do want to hear from you, in front of the whole class, is an explanation. Tell us, Henry, what exactly are you holding in your left hand and lifting onto your right shoulder?" His jaw tensed. His eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape. Finally, he muttered, It's my vest, miss. It falls down sometimes." Miss Taft's expression hardened. "Are you lying to me, Bishop?" she said, her voice sharper now. Let me show you a close-up image of that strap. She turned to the projector, and the image on the screen zoomed in to reveal the fabric more clearly: smooth, white, unmistakable. That young man, she said, pointing at the screen, is a girl's brassiere. I have seen enough of them to know exactly what I'm looking at. Now, tell me the truth. Why were you wearing a girl's bra during last Saturday's game? A suffocating silence filled the room. Henry's shoulders slumped, and for a moment, it seemed like he might just give up. He looked utterly defeated, completely at a loss for words. I don't know, he mumbled, barely audible. Miss Taft arched a brow. Does it hurt when you run? Does wearing a bra help stop your chest from bouncing? She folded her arms. I'm a woman, Henry. I know about these things. Or are you simply playing a silly game? Do you get excited by wearing girls' clothes? Henry's face turned scarlet. The class held its breath. If he had just waited, if he had let her continue, she might have given him an easier way out. But instead, in a blind panic, he blurted out the first excuse that seemed less humiliating than the truth. It's my chest, miss, he stammered. It bounces when I play. The bra helps stop it from hurting. A ripple of shock passed through the classroom. No one had expected that. Even Miss Taft seemed taken aback. Oh, she said, her stern expression softening slightly. I see. Feeling somewhat guilty for pressing the issue, she nodded. I'm sorry, Henry. I know this must be difficult for you. But now that you've admitted this, I'll have to inform your sports teacher and coach. They'll need to be aware of your special needs. If they see you using extra support, they'll know not to question it. They'll understand it's a medical issue. Henry paled. His fate was sealed. From this moment on, in every PE lesson, in every soccer match, his teachers would expect to see him wearing a bra. Not only that, they would insist on it, just to ensure he didn't injure himself and leave the school open to a lawsuit. I sat frozen in my chair, filled with a strange mix of triumph and jealousy. I had always loved girls' clothes. If only I had been the one trapped in Henry's position. That evening, my phone rang. Selena. I got Henry back, thanks to you, she said, her voice smug. Sorry, but he was always the man for me. You're just too much of a sissy. A slow burn of anger rose in my chest. Don't call me that. I can't believe you used me. You're a real bitch. She finished for me, laughing. Oh, I'm not done with you yet, sissy. I clenched my teeth. What do you want now? You hurt my man, she said sweetly, and now you're going to help him. A bitter laugh escaped me. Well, I do feel bad that things got so out of hand, I admitted. Your poor boyfriend is going to be the one dressing like a sissy for a while. If you want, I can try to think of a way out for him. But that wasn't enough for Selena. Oh no, she purred. You're going to do more than that. I don't want my boyfriend to be the only cross-dresser in school. You're going to dress up too. My blood turned to ice. So get yourself over to my place tonight, sissy, or else. I gripped the phone tighter. I told you don't call me that. And what exactly can you do about it? I demanded, the desperation in my voice making me cringe. Selena just laughed. Check your phone, she said, especially your outbox for picture messaging. My stomach dropped. I fumbled with my phone, flipping through the sent messages, and then I saw it. The picture. Me wearing the bra, under Henry's number 9 soccer shirt. Selena had taken it that night in the lab, and worse, she had sent it to herself. She had proof. Undeniable, irrefutable proof that I had framed Henry Bishop from the very beginning. The store assistant, a cheerful young woman who barely batted an eye at the unusual request. We need a proper fitting for these two, Selena said sweetly, draping an arm around Henry's shoulder while I shifted uncomfortably beside them. They both need something supportive for sports. I could see Henry's face tightening with every second that passed, but I had already committed to this ridiculous charade, so I forced myself to play along. The assistant, still unfazed, nodded. Of course, right this way, boys. Boys, the word hit like a slap. We didn't belong here. This was a girl's world. Satin, lace, soft pastels, and delicate embroidery lined the racks, a universe designed for femininity. And yet, Here we were, two 13-year-old boys, about to be measured for brass. Henry kept his head down as we were led toward the fitting area, his hands shoved deep into his hoodie pockets. I stole a glance at him and almost laughed after everything that had happened. After the teasing, the humiliation, the whispers at school, this was what truly broke him. Selena, on the other hand, was thriving. So, she said with mock innocence, should we go for a full cup style or something lighter? Henry shot her a glare that could have burned through steel. The assistant, still completely professional, gestured toward the fitting rooms. I can take some measurements first, then we'll find something comfortable for both of you. Henry and I hesitated. The woman gave a reassuring smile. Don't worry, I do this all the time. You won't even need to take off your shirts, just stand straight, arms up, and I'll get the tape around you. Henry was miserable, but he did as he was told, standing stiff as a board while the assistant wrapped the measuring tape around his chest, calling out numbers to Selena, who was gleefully taking notes like this was a science experiment. Then it was my turn. I stepped forward reluctantly, feeling my face heat up as she adjusted the tape. The sheer absurdity of it all hit me like a brick. I was in a lingerie store getting fitted for a bra. Well, the assistant said, stepping back and scribbling something down. Both of you are fairly small, so I'd recommend something light, maybe a training bra or a soft sports style. Henry muttered something unintelligible. Selena beamed. We'll take two. And just like that, it was done. Two boys, standing awkwardly in the checkout line of a lingerie store, each holding a small shopping bag containing a bra that neither of us had any intention of wearing, at least, not by choice. As we stepped out of the store, the afternoon sun felt too bright, the real world somehow less real than the absurdity we had just endured. Henry looked hollowed out, his soul drained. Selena, however, was grinning ear to ear. I think this was a very educational trip, she said. Don't you agree, boys? Neither of us answered. She leaned in, lowering her voice just enough to send a chill through me. And remember, sissy, she whispered, this is just the beginning. Holding up a short-fitted denim skirt. The challenge in her eyes was unmistakable, a mixture of amusement and something else, something that told me she wanted to see if I would go through with it. Henry was already looking uncomfortable, shifting awkwardly beside me, but I was caught in something deeper. The weight of the gel bra on my chest, the sensation of soft fabric pressing against my skin, the teasing lilt in Selena's voice, it was all too much. I hesitated, trying to play it off as if the idea was absurd, but my fingers itched to reach for the skirt. Oh, come on, I scoffed. You don't actually expect me to wear that. Selena just smirked. What, afraid it'll look too good on you? She was pushing me, testing me, and we both knew it. Henry, sensing the tension, tried to break it. Can we go somewhere else? He muttered. This place is too girly for you. Selena cut in. Not a problem for our new friend here, though. I glanced around, paranoia creeping up my spine. The store was busy, racks upon racks of skirts, dresses, crop tops, all unmistakably feminine. And yet, standing here, the La Senza bag swinging from my hand, my chest subtly bouncing with every movement, I didn't feel out of place. The real problem was, I didn't want to feel out of place. I swallowed hard. Fine, I said, snatching the skirt from her hands. I'll try it on, but only if Henry does too. Henry froze. No way, he said immediately. Selena grinned. Fair enough. We'll just get something else for him. But you, my dear, are going in there. She pointed to the fitting rooms. I hesitated. The truth was, the idea of stepping inside a women's changing area thrilled me. It was wrong, it was taboo, but it was also the closest I had ever come to being where I belonged. Go on, Pamela, Selena teased. I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and stepped inside. The denim skirt fit perfectly. I turned slowly in front of the mirror, barely recognizing myself. The gel bra gave me just enough shape, and with the skirt sitting high on my waist, my figure looked almost natural. A rush of excitement shot through me. This was too real. Well, Selena's voice came from outside. How does it look? I hesitated, then cracked the door open just enough for her to peek. Her eyes lit up. "Jesus," she whispered, stepping closer. "You actually look good." Henry, peering over her shoulder, just stared. "Dude," he stopped, shaking his head, unable to even finish his thought. My heart raced. I should take this off," I said quickly. But Selena shook her head. "No, you should own it." I wanted to. God, I wanted to. Instead, I just swallowed hard and stepped back inside, pretending to be indifferent while my hands trembled from adrenaline. Was I really about to do this? Selena tapped on the door. "Pamela, we need to find you a cute top to match." I exhaled slowly, staring at my reflection. The worst part. I never wanted to take this off. Standing in the changing room, I stared at the black and pink mini dress in Selena's hands as if it was something dangerous, something alive. "Are you mad?" I cried. But Selena was already pressing it against me, muttering to herself about the fit before swapping it for another size and pushing me toward the fitting rooms. Henry was laughing now, still thinking this was just a joke, something for his amusement. The dress was tight, too tight. Selena had to zip me up, her fingers tugging hard as I supped in my stomach. The pink skirt flared out slightly, barely long enough to cover my underwear, while the top had a low-cut neckline that actually showed cleavage, or at least the tiny illusion of one, thanks to the gel bra. When I stepped out, Henry lost it. He doubled over, gasping for breath between fits of giggles. "Oh my God," he wheezed. "The top half is kind of convincing, except your arms are too hairy." His eyes flicked down, and he grinned wickedly. "And dude, no offense, but you're a bit tubby. That dress is way too tight on your stomach." I supped in my belly, glancing at my reflection in the store's full-length mirror. Henry continued, wiping tears from his eyes. "The skirt is actually pretty good, but again hairy legs. And you better make sure your underwear is clean." He doubled over again, completely losing it. Selena was giggling too, but she wasn't mocking me the way Henry was. No, she was enjoying this. "It's perfect," she said, tilting her head. "We'll take it." Henry's laughter died as he straightened. "Wait, are you serious? Are you really going to wear that tonight?" I swallowed hard, heart hammering. If Selena can make me look like a girl instead of just a boy with tits, then yeah, I'll do it. Selena's grin widened. "Oh, challenge accepted." Next stop, back to the lingerie store. The dress was tight, but not tight enough. My stomach still pushed out against the fabric, ruining the illusion. I needed something stronger, something that forced my body into shape. I needed a girdle. The problem? Girdles were made for girls' bodies, not boys'. At first, we tried a normal panty girdle, but it stopped at my waist and did nothing to flatten my stomach. Every time I pulled it on, my belly just spilled over the top, making things even worse. It was only after some trial and error that we found the high-waisted panty girdle. The moment I wriggled into it, I felt the difference. It squeezed my waist so tight I could barely breathe, but it worked. My stomach looked flat. "Perfect," Selena announced. I wasn't so sure. The girdle was easily the most uncomfortable thing I had ever worn. Every breath felt shallow, and every movement was a reminder that I was trapped inside this thing. But it didn't matter. The illusion was working. On the way home, we stopped at Selena's house to stash my new clothes. There was no way I could take them home without my parents seeing. Selena handed me a small tube. "This will take care of your hairy arms and legs," she said. I swallowed. "You really think I need to?" She raised an eyebrow. "Unless you want Henry laughing at you all night." That settled it. I nodded, slipping the hair remover into my pocket. This was everything I have ever wanted, and yet it was also everything I feared. For years, I had dreamed about dressing like this, going out like this, but I had always needed an excuse, something to force me into it, something to absolve me of responsibility. Now I had it. I was being blackmailed. That was my excuse. But the truth was, even if Selena had let me walk away, even if she had deleted every picture, I wasn't sure I would have. At home, I ate dinner with Mum and Dad, finished my homework, and then locked myself in the bathroom. With trembling hands, I spread the hair remover over my arms and legs. The instructions said to leave it on for 10 minutes, so I sat on the edge of the tub, heart pounding, watching the clock tick down. When I finally rinsed it off, the results were incredible. My skin was smooth, soft, like a girl's. I ran my fingers along my leg, shivering at the unfamiliar sensation. It was real. By 6 p.m., it was time to go. My body was frozen with fear. In just a few hours, everyone I knew, every single person at the youth club, would see me as a girl. I wanted to back out. I wanted to run. But at the same time, this was my only chance. Maybe if I did this once, I could get these thoughts out of my head. Maybe I just needed to do it and be free of these feelings forever. Or maybe I had never wanted to be free of them at all. Back at Selena's, I pulled on the girdle, feeling it cinch me in. Next came the gel bra, and damn, it made a difference now. With my waist compressed, my chest looked even bigger. Selena tossed me a pair of pink panties. "You don't want anyone seeing that ugly girdle if your skirt rides up," she said. "These will look much cuter." I slid them on. Then came the shoes, black, strappy heels with 3-inch spikes. They were too small, but I managed to squeeze my feet inside. Finally, Selena sat me down and got to work on my hair and makeup. She combed and styled my hair, adding just enough volume to make it look more feminine. Then she started on my face foundation, a bit of blush, and finally, soft pink lipstick. By the time she was done, I barely recognized myself. I wasn't me anymore. I was her. And tonight, everyone was going to see it. The final result wasn't bad at all. Given more time for proper hairstyling and a more polished makeup job, I could have actually looked pretty, better than I'd ever hoped. I was buzzing with excitement, my pulse racing, but thankfully, the impossibly tight girdle ensured my excitement wouldn't be visibly obvious. Henry was already waiting when we met up, along with a friend of Selena's named Naomi. Selena nudged her playfully and said, "See, told you I'd bring a date for you. This is, well, we haven't actually picked a name for him yet." Naomi squinted at me, purely skeptical. "That's a guy?" she asked. "Are you sure? Why the hell is he wearing a dress?" I smiled nervously. "Hey Naomi, I'm Steven, and the dress is just for fun. Is that okay?" She studied me for a moment, then shrugged. "All right then, Stacy. Let's go have some fun." And fun was exactly what we had. I danced with Naomi all night, hugging, kissing, laughing. We even joked about our boobs, comparing sizes like two giggling girls at a sleepover. Dozens of boys from school recognized. I knew I'd suffer for it in the morning. The whispers, the teasing, the mocking, it was coming. But in that moment, none of it mattered. I walked Naomi home, and we kept talking, making plans. She wanted to see a chick flick at the cinema, and I could wear my dress again. We planned to go swimming too, though for that, it was probably best I went as a boy. At her front gate, we kissed goodnight. I walked back across town on air. It wasn't until I reached my own street that I realized I had a problem. It was past 10 p.m. on a school night. All my boy clothes were at Selena's house, and Selena was probably already asleep. That meant I had exactly two choices. 1. Go back to Selena's and risk waking her parents, who would definitely call mine. 2. Walk straight into my house, in a mini dress and heels, and deal with whatever came next. I hesitated for a second. Then, with my heels clip-clopping against the pavement and my girdle squeezed backside wiggling with every step, I strutted up the driveway and into the house. Mum's usual shout of, "Where the hell have you been?" died in her throat. Instead, her voice cracked into pure horror. "What the hell are you wearing?" Dad's face went pale. I could already feel the conversation coming. And sure enough, we had a long, painfully awkward discussion about why boys do not wear dresses. It didn't matter what I said. Their minds were made up. To them, there was something wrong with me, some kind of gender identity problem. I was just relieved when they finally let me go to bed, And though it was disappointing to take off the dress, peeling off the girdle felt like pure heaven. The next day at school started badly. Stacy. That was my new official nickname. Sissy was just as popular. But beyond the teasing and name-calling, it wasn't actually as bad as I'd feared. Just another school day until I got called to the headmaster's office. The moment I stepped inside, I saw her. Mum. My stomach dropped. The headmaster folded his hands on his desk. "Your mother has convinced me that you have a problem, Stephen," he said. I blinked. "A problem?" He nodded, speaking as though he were diagnosing some strange disease. In my experience, young boys who experience these kinds of fantasies typically grow out of them with proper counseling. However, in accordance with your mother's wishes, he cleared his throat. "I am willing to let you continue to find your own way." I frowned. "I don't understand, sir." The headmaster sighed. "To put it plainly, young man, your mother and father have requested that I allow you to attend lessons wearing a girl's uniform. Specifically, you will be permitted to wear a skirt to school every day, until such time that you and your parents believe you have resolved your gender identity." The room spun. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Mum looked at me, tight-lipped. The headmaster looked at me, expectant. And all I could think was, what have I done? As the days passed, I found myself slipping more easily into this new life, one I had never imagined for myself, yet one that felt, in its own strange way, exhilarating. Each morning, I woke up to the choice of skirts and dresses neatly arranged in my wardrobe. Each evening, I reflected on the whispers in the hallways, the stares, the knowing smiles from Naomi, the occasional nod of understanding from an unexpected classmate. But beneath the layers of fabric, beneath the gel bra that shaped my chest, beneath the makeup Selena had taught me to apply, a question remained. Who am I really? The idea of hormone replacement therapy lingered in my mind like an unopened letter, waiting for my decision. Did I want this to be my life forever? Was I meant to be a girl, or was I simply enthralled by the sensation of it all, the soft fabrics, the way my reflection changed with a stroke of eyeliner, the way people's eyes lingered just a second longer? I still loved rugby. I still loved soccer. I still loved kissing girls. That part of me hadn't changed. Maybe it never would. Maybe, in the end, it wasn't about being one or the other. Maybe I could just be me. A boy who sometimes dressed as a girl. A person who existed in both worlds, dancing on the blurred line between them, unashamed. Henry went back to his old life, insisting to anyone who would listen that his problem had been cured. I wondered, sometimes, if he ever looked at a bra in a shop window and hesitated, if he ever felt the ghost of the straps on his shoulders and missed them, if, in the quiet of his room, he ever wished he hadn't been so quick to call himself normal again. As for Naomi, she stood by me, unwavering, accepting me in a way I hadn't even learned to accept myself. Maybe I'd never know exactly who I was, or where this journey would lead. Maybe the only truth that mattered was that, no matter what I chose, I wasn't alone. Life doesn't always give you neat endings, but maybe that's the beauty of it. Maybe some stories aren't meant to be wrapped up with a perfect bow. Maybe they're meant to keep evolving, just like I am. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. I am who I am. A boy who sometimes wears dresses. A person who refuses to fit neatly into anyone's expectations. Maybe that will earn me laughter, maybe even hatred. But those fleeting moments, the thrill of silk against my skin, the way Naomi's eyes light up when she sees me, the quiet confidence I feel when I choose my own path, those are mine to keep. As for Henry, he went back to being normal. Back to the comfort of certainty, of labels that fit just right. But sometimes, I wonder if he ever looks in the mirror and sees something missing. If he ever wakes up with a memory of straps against his shoulders and feels a pang of longing. If, deep down, he ever wonders what it would have been like to embrace the part of himself he tried so hard to deny. Naomi remains my anchor, my best friend, my love, my safe place in a world that doesn't always understand. With her, I don't have to explain myself. She sees me exactly as I am, and that is enough. The road ahead is uncertain, but I'm not afraid of it anymore, because whether I walk it in trousers or a skirt, Whether the world laughs or whispers, this is my story, and I'll write it however I please. The end, or maybe just the beginning.